mystical isn't the word I'm looking for, but like there's an element of it being
Spiritual?
it's definitely spiritual, but there's an element of it being like it's a really like a theory of time as well. So it's like if it says something about the nature of fate and free will, and I think that that's, as like a student of philosophy, that's a really important topic for me because I'm like, there are things in this world that I can change, and there are things that are not that I can't change. Um, like in kind of recovery circles, the serenity prayer is a big thing.
Sure,
God grant me the
sure,
serenity, accept the things I can't
sure.
change the things I can. People focus a lot on acceptance, but people don't focus a lot on wisdom.
Right.
The wisdom to know the difference between those two things, I think, is like the important thing in life.
Beautiful.
But it's very hard to come by wisdom.
When my brother passed, my sister had a star named after him.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can do that, right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
can, yeah. And because he loved space,
Mhm.
astrology. I told you, he was working on, funny you should say, that he was working on the unified field theory
Mhm.
and the God particle,
Mhm.
the Higgs bose,
Yeah.
or Higgs boson, I
Mhm.
think, 40 years before they discovered it.
Mhm.
And, when he had passed, I don't know if I had said this to you, but they
You
had,
used to tell me about your brother, like back in the day. How
yeah,
you were kind of very different. He was very into science
he's a
and
very different guy. But there's a lot of commonality as well. But we had found paperwork from NASA
wow.
that he was the guy that NASA called when they had a problem.
Cool.
He fixed their problems.
That's very cool.
Yeah, he was a fascinating guy, interesting, really really interesting guy. Which kind of leads us to the martial arts. Welcome to the Gentle Art Podcast with Gene Dunn. Today we have the privilege of sitting with Mr. Tim Halligan. Welcome, Tim. Love you, buddy. Love you.
Love you too, Shion. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I kind of want to thank you. Oh, you're welcome, by the way. Let me be present because my mind is kind of racing. But I want to kind of start like, uh, I think I want to start at your return to the martial arts and then kind of go back and set the groundwork for why you came in the beginning. I think that's how I want to tackle our relationship and two,
Mhm.
your martial art experience. Like you recently came back to the dojo. You started when you were 14?
The timeline's a little fuzzy.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about it, and it's around '05.
'05. And so
Yeah,
what would that have made you?
14, 15.
14, 15.
Yeah, 15, I believe. Because it's a little fuzzy because I know you've never met my dad, but my dad passed in May of '05. So I don't remember. I remember being a sophomore in high school, but I'm like, obviously because of how stressful that time was, it's a little bit hard
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
But I remember it being a February. I could be wrong about that.
What I recall was that you had came after he had passed.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
So I don't, there wasn't a lot of discussion about, what was going on with him.
Mhm.
And that's how because I've been thinking about this a lot too.
Yeah.
And so that I think like either late '05 or early '06
Yeah.
was probably when you came to the dojo.
Yeah.
So you stop at about 18, you stop at 18,
I think I stopped in 2010.
2010.
So that would be like cuz I came back to work at the 13th Avenue School for the second summer. The I think the summer after or maybe it was the summer going into college.
So you're in 18, 19?
So it was yeah,
Yeah.
about there.
Yeah. So you stop in 010, you come back recently, and what kind of got you to come back? What were you thinking and what were you like? What were your maybe one or two of your hopes? And
Mhm.
then what as a secondary question, what did you find? So Go ahead.
Yeah. So coming back, I mean, I remember I was on the train with my coworker and I was standing up kind of absent-mindedly in front of an open seat. I didn't want to sit down, but I was just standing there. And a man came on the train and made some type of comment, and I made some type of comment back. Like he kind of made a comment that I was like in the way, and I made a comment back that like he didn't need to be rude or something like that. And he's like, you're gonna end up a story on the news, on the evening news. And then he looked over at my coworker, and they kind of like shook their head at each other. And my coworker was like, "Yo, we would have like handled it if anything happened."
Uh-huh.
And I was just like, I
Wh-
had
When you say they shake their head at each other, you mean your coworker knew something like that too?
my
Like they were in
coworker,
agreement?
my coworker, I think was like trying to tell him like, "Hey, man, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here as
I
well."
see. I see. So it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I see. I get it.
And I was just kind of like, I think I came back to New York from 6 years in LA and like a year in Spain before that in September 23. And I grew up here in New York, and it has felt it's like a city unlike any other, and it's been difficult to come back because of how shared of an experience it is.
I feel the exact
You
same way.
know,
Yeah, man.
like you have to deal with all kinds of people all the time. And, like things on the news aside, because I tend to think that like the danger of New York City is overhyped,
Mm-hmm.
but like it can be very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
as we kind of like navigate in martial arts training, like things can happen anytime,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so that was kind of like
The wake up call.
the wake up call that I was like, I need to get back to this. But I think more generally, like, it's funny because I can appear to people like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're such a calm, soft-spoken person." But like underneath it all, there's like a real energy in me that like that can be very martial,
Yeah.
like for
Yeah.
lack
Yeah.
of a better term.
That's a
There's
good way to
like,
put it.
yeah, it's kind of like a burning energy that like needs an outlet somewhere. Um,
For those of you who I'm shaking my head up and down, right? I feel the exact same way.
yeah.
I felt that my whole life. Go ahead. So you're saying,
And I've known from when I did martial arts in the past that the martial arts are a good outlet for that
yeah,
martial energy,
yeah, sure.
you know?
So you like you feel as though it gets tense with this guy, so you're thinking about, oh, it could go off,
Yeah.
and then you're realizing that this energy needs a place to go, so it doesn't go off, or so if it does go off, you're prepared. All of the above. What?
I'll put it this way. You saw me have an experience at the dojo last weekend because I felt like I was in a dangerous situation where I was very angry. And my way of like I've had to spend that time that day and like several days after that kind of working through that energy. And so I think that that's a good, I think, example of how the martial arts can work out that kind of thing where it's like my impulse is like I feel scared, I want to lash out. And then like there's a ton of different iterations, and there's a spectrum of responses that happened within my mind in the following days. And I don't know if the situation completely resolved itself, but yesterday at class, you kind of gave me a little salute after class because
You know why I did it, right?
I know exactly why you did it. Because I met this person that I bumped up against, not only with neutrality, but with a smile and I would say like a sense of positivity.
It was beautiful to watch, buddy. You know, th- there's so many components. Like because the original question is, what did you want to get, and then what did you find?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you just nailed it. Like, uh, I think part of being in a good dojo, a I want to be mindful, but I'm going to say this with the caveat that like I don't have another way to put it right now, but a genuine martial art environment
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to bump into things.
Yeah.
And then the practice is so important that you have to reconcile those things.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not happen in a day and it may not happen, but you got to, at some point you do.
Yeah.
Like I remember there were two purple belts when I first started jujitsu, a guy named Chris Schaefer and a guy named Tommy Caruso.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the only purple belts on the East Coast other than one other guy, and a guy named Alex Wilkie. And Chris Schaefer and I did not get along.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think he represented to me all the things that I didn't like about myself. He was a bit introverted. He was a bit like awkward,
Mm-hmm.
and he was very dangerous.
Mm.
And I remember like in those days, like I still had this very big competitive streak in me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was trying to kind of earn my chops or my
Yeah.
bones, to use the mafia term, on Chris. And I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I was an idiot. But so Chris and I would bump into each other a lot.
Yeah.
And, at some point I did not, like, I thought it resolved itself when I beat Chris, when I tapped Chris,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't. I
Mm.
had to really work out like what Chris represented and what I was doing.
Yeah.
And that was really profound for me.
Mm-hmm.
In retrospect, like Chris informs the entire dojo
Mm.
about the student teacher relationship, the kohai senpai relationship. How do
Mm-hmm.
we engage and interact with seniors? How do seniors help? All of that is in part because I kept bumping into Chris Schaefer.
Mm.
And if I may, like, I sat down with you when you bumped into this person, like
Mm-hmm.
after that class,
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't want to. You were like, I don't want to take up more of your time. This is what you
Yeah.
said, and uh, let me get
I
the
have a
point
lot
out.
to say
Yeah,
about that, but go
let me get the
ahead.
point out, and
Yeah.
sure, I'd love to hear what you have to say, but at some point I stopped. I realized like I'm not going to insert myself here. I'm not going to be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Or assert any kind of thought here. So, you had said something, and I was like, I'm just going to sit here, Tim. I'm just going to be right next to you.
Yeah.
And I thought like that was the best thing I could do.
Mm-hmm.
Just really kind of on some level go, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in you feeling scared or isolated. And I think that that's kind of, how I've felt. And I'd said this yesterday in class, right? Like, I have a propensity for violence.
Mm.
And that propensity is fueled by my fear, my insecurities.
Yeah.
And the martial arts helped me reconcile that. So, at some point you had texted me and apologized about some part of the interaction.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated. You didn't need to. And this was my point to you back, was that I had said, you're doing great.
Yeah.
And I meant
I
like
appreciate that so much.
every
Yeah.
particle of that,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that you're going back and you're contending with this whole thing. And it's why I saluted you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like you came back, like there was a moment where I go, do I put Tim with him
Mm-hmm.
7 days later
Mm-hmm.
to the day?
Yeah.
What do I do? And I'm like, nope, I trust Tim and I trust him, even though they're bumping.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for them to work itself. They need to They got to work through this.
Mm.
And that was the salute, man. However it went.
Yeah.
I was chaperoning. I was
Mhm.
not going to let it go off the hinges, off the
Yeah.
rails. But certainly I was, it's like, to me, I was watching everything the martial arts is made for.
Mhm.
You know, we are working out all these things that no longer, Vizio says, like, man, you got to be cool, like
Yeah.
nothing. And you just work it. You,
Well, that guy's so cool. It's
he
easier for
is
him, you
very cool.
know?
I'm dying to get him on the podcast. But he's like, nope,
Yeah.
try again. So your response, please. It was awfully long winded. I'm sorry, but
No, it's okay. It's absolutely okay. Um, yeah, the thing that comes up for me is that this person, I don't know them at all, you know? So everything I have in interaction with them is just a response of my own projections, you know? Um, but I think the magical thing about the dojo and about training in the martial arts in the way that like you've facilitated is that you are there to like I trust you. I know something of you, and I suppose that he does as well. And so there's this kind of ability for us to work things out because of the role that you play, which I think is pretty amazing. And it's also not very like, it's not like not that you're not making an effort, because I imagine that you are, you know, operating like a duck, like very calm on the surface, and there's a lot of stuff going on under the surface, but it's like it's seamless almost. It's just like you're not like you guys, you're not kind of directing it. You're just there, and it's working it out. It's working itself out because of the subtle influence that you, I think, have.
huh. Thank you for that. I actually never thought of that so thank you for acknowledging that.
Absolutely.
Uh, what did you come away with? Like, with the week in the retrospect and then having that experience yesterday, like, are you able to kind of go like, oh yeah, like,
I think what I come away with is that, like, I have to ultimately keep my side of the street clean, and that what's important is not, like, to sound selfish, but it's like, I like interacting with everybody in kind of a friendly way. Like, I don't like being like, I have a problem with this person, so I'm gonna be cold to them." It's like, I just wanna be my normal kind of, like, warm, welcoming, friendly, open self with everyone. And whether that's like liked by other people, I mean, if it's not liked by other people and I can tell that, I respect that as well. Cause like, you know,
sure,
but like, uh, if people don't like me or respect me, I don't know them. So it ultimately doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Um, but what's important is my response. And I think ult- ultimately in the context of this of you know like our training environment, it's creating or doing my part to maintain like a safe training environment for everybody,
for everybody.
because I think that I don't see animosity between people, but I think that kind of thing could be poisonous. I don't know.
Absolutely can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, there's so many things I'm thinking. But so can you bridge the way that this experience will inform outside the dojo? Maybe that's too obvious of a question. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it comes down to, you know, uh I think it comes down to what it always comes down to is like when you're scared, the only thing to do is to just try and walk through the fear with some kind of faith, and some kind of like moral compass.
I like the word grace.
Yeah.
For me, I understand grace to be giving.
Mhm.
So there's some there are a couple of choices on how to give,
Yeah.
that I think can be very positive
Mm-hmm.
or effective.
Yeah.
So I like the term grace. That's the one I use.
I love grace as well because I think ultimately, to go back to the idea of the serenity prayer and wisdom, things are God given, It's not my responsibility to make everything happen for me.
That's right.
And I just like that, Ultimately I'm taken care of, and if I ask, I will receive. I won't necessarily receive things the way I think I will. Like, it
I'm
might be
laughing because
different. Yeah,
isn't that the way it is,
because
right?
that's how grace is.
Yeah. That's
But
beautiful.
yeah.
So why do you think you show up at the dojo? Like, what, not this time, but the first time? In retrospect, like, what is it? Is it 20 years? No, it's 15 years later, right? No, it's 20 years
It's
later.
20 years since I started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with 20 years now behind you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure some thought has gone into that. Like, why do you think you showed up at the dojo?
Why did I rationally show up, or like why did I,
I don't know. However
I
you'd want to,
I
like,
mean, yeah, it's kind of like, what was I going there for and what did I end up getting, like the question that you
yeah,
asked. But yeah, to kind of go back and maybe put the story that I told about the inciting incident of kind of being like, okay, I think I really do need to get back to training in this present day. 20 years ago, I'm a small uh I'm a small kid, like 14-year-old going to Midwood High School and like trying to make my way around, like from the Junction to Midwood High School every morning.
for those of you who don't know what the Junction is, the Junction is where a lot of the Brooklyn trains culminate, and like it's not in the best neighborhood. In fact, the Junction was where the baseball field was. What was it? Was
The Dodgers field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brooklyn Dodgers field
Mhm.
was there. And in the 80s and 90s, it's interesting because I used to take the train from the Junction when I opened up the Avenue N school in
Mm.
94,
Mhm.
and it was definitely an interesting experience.
Yeah.
But so the Junction is a train stop. It's the last train stop.
Mhm.
And it's not in the greatest of
No.
neighborhoods.
Flatbush Avenue and Avenue H meet. It's the end of the 2-5 train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brooklyn College is a 2 to 5 minute walk away.
Right.
But for a 14-year-old kid who grew up in like a gated community out in Queens, it was not a culture shock, but it was just like, it was tough. It was very tough. And
Scary, I bet.
now it was very scary, and it got scarier as time went on because I got more and more uh traumatized, I'll say. And like, as a backdrop, we kind of, like my history, like not the easiest childhood. I don't have the best I generally don't have the best like response historically to dealing with stress. And so I'm this little kid going to high school in Brooklyn, get mugged for my North Face jacket, like first day it snows, my freshman year in high school, while 100 people are standing around me, including a kid that I went to elementary school and high school with. And like, one guy came up and like fought for my jacket, and someone yoked me from behind, and I was like, I thought it was a joke at first,
Right.
until someone in like a ski mask and, completely covered, came up to me and started opening up. And I just froze. That's the only response I was like, if I just don't do anything, this will be over, and it's like, this code isn't worth like getting my ass beat or like worse, you know what I mean? And then I got mugged a few more times, uh, in smaller denominations, like for my lunch money type thing and like things like that. And I felt helpless, and I felt like I was being targeted for some reason. And I tried to transfer schools, and they were like, you can go to Beach Channel in Far Rockaway. You can go to your zone
It's
school.
worse.
And I was like, yeah, that's a worse situation. It was like, no one really would do anything for me.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at the GentleArtPodcast@gmail.com or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or thegentleartpodcast.com.